Let me recognize everybody who's on the podium rather than take individual names. Your Excellencies all together, it's been a real pleasure working with all of you and also the delegates who are here, ministers, other officials, permanent representatives. As usual, it's always good to have you and to have a very free and frank exchange at the same time in the process. We have enjoyed comprehensive and rich discussion over the past 2 days. The outcome of APFSD has benefited from your consultations, as I see, and efforts. This forum helped strengthen consensus and understanding on Asia-Pacific sustainable development dimensions and associated challenges and opportunities within the context of post-2015 development agenda, as well as your perspectives on regional review and monitor and follow-up mechanisms. Exchanges on the form and sub-function of Asia-Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development beyond 2015 were useful and will help shape the transition from MDGs to SDGs. Overall, I do believe we have achieved a great deal, but as you know, there is much work to be done, and this is just a drop in the ocean or a beginning, so to speak. The forum, to my delight, showcased examples and experiences of sustainable development with a focus on integration of 3 dimensions. There was unanimity that the forward-looking agenda needs to engage all people of the region, as we just heard, in development and implementation. I thought there were good insights also in the side events, which had their own value addition. So building on the processes of the last year, we had clearly more extensive deliberations this time round, not only to hear the perspectives of the government, but also civil society organization and the private sector, which I very much value. I'm sure you will agree, partnership will be an essential basis on which success will be achieved in delivering on this ambitious agenda. I'm proud to say that at this APFSD, I believe no voice remained unheard. I met some people in the corridors, I met some people, but you all have had opportunity to engage, which is quite good. So in my concluding remarks today, I would like to briefly reflect with you on what we have agreed in the course of the forum, as I understand, and where I believe we have reached a level of regional and multi-stakeholder consensus on some of the critical issues related to the post-2015 development agenda. In so doing, I'm cognizant and excited that such a strong regional voice will now feed into HLPF. Through the HLPF, the results of this meeting will feed into the United Nations Summit to finalize the post-2015 development agenda, with sustainability, of course, at its core. So let me highlight our understanding as a Secretariat of the key outcomes and successes of the 2015 APFSD. Major recommendations per session came out. So first, defining Asia-Pacific sustainable development challenges and opportunities, strengthening integration, implementation, and review for sustainable development in Asia-Pacific. The APFSD provides this region with an exciting opportunity. We discussed the challenges, opportunities, and priority steps to promote integration of 3 dimensions of sustainable development, which is really critical if you are to design or to implement these. We agreed on the need to focus on a more inclusive, balanced, and sustained growth path while respecting, of course, planetary boundaries and social needs. We called for region-wide acceptance of social justice and ecological sustainability as fundamental policy objectives. Finally, recognizing that the Sustainable Development Agenda must be firmly embedded in national policy frameworks and requires national and local ownership, we call for enhanced political commitment and leadership to realize sustainable managed development aspiration. Second session, perspectives on the United Nations Development Agenda beyond 2015 and the Sustainable Development Goals. Through this panel discussion, we explored global processes on sustainable development through a regional lens. Decisions on the post-2015 development agenda, including the Sustainable Development Goals, are expected to be concluded in September, as all of you know. And we must begin to discuss implementation modalities. The need for the global agenda to be reflected in national sustainable development frameworks was highlighted again and again. Countries emphasized the challenges of implementing the post-2015 development agenda in a way that supports all three dimensions of sustainable development in a balanced manner. The need to involve all stakeholders into planning, implementation, and review processes was highlighted in the session by many speakers, as was the need to fully bring the private sector on board by creating an enabling and incentivizing environment was the call of the private sector. Third, regional mechanisms for review of the implementation of the United Nations Development Agenda beyond 2015. The discussions revolve around a robust, effective, and transparent follow-up and review framework. I think there was an agreement that this certainly is critical to ensure the implementation of this agenda, likely to, of course, be agreed later this year. Such a framework should help to track progress and identify achievements, challenges, and critical factors in implementing the development agenda. It can support decision makers in making policy choices and help them to prioritize actions and investments. It should also assist in identifying needs and can help to mobilize the means of implementation. Member states noted that the follow-up and review in context of the development agenda should be streamlined, fit for purpose, and adapted to the capacities and national priorities of member states, while highlighting that regional follow-up and review mechanisms require further discussion. APFSD beyond 2015, the forum took note of the Secretariat paper on the form and function of Asia-Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development and recommended that the next APFSD should support the implementation of the United Nations post-2015 development agenda in Asia and the Pacific and should be consistent with objectives, form, function, and modalities of the HLPF. This is included clearly in the documents that you have just endorsed. The special presentation on Asia-Pacific models of sustainable development, I must admit that this is one of the sessions which, in my opinion, marked the success of this event. Because the models that have been showed and the ones that we have received documentation on and the ones that we talked about in the theme study provides a wonderful opportunity for us to have hope, because you are already working in this area, and in some senses you could be probably more advanced than some other regions, and to listen to experiences live directly from the region was also quite good. All models presented linked with the existing and widely accepted values and traditions, thus supporting stakeholder engagement and accelerating efforts towards sustainable development. The session highlighted that different countries and subregions face diverse challenges and that there is therefore not just one path to achieving sustainable development, and we respect this quite a bit. On the regional preparatory session for the AMR, During this session, you reflected on what it will take to manage the transition from the MDGs to the SDGs. While Asia-Pacific region has made impressive achievements, the level of progress towards MDGs have been uneven. Least developed countries will therefore need particular support and attention to do better when we implement the Sustainable Development Agenda and catch up with the deficits on MDGs. The special needs of the least developed countries, landlocked developing countries, and small island developing states, which we are working under other platforms also, will therefore need to be addressed by targeting finance for development, transfer of technology, as well as capacity building to these countries. Development cooperation and financing will play a significant role in support for implementation of the post-2015 agenda and in facilitating the transition from the MDGs to SDGs. The outcome of this forum represents a key milestone from for our region, but relative to other regions too, with important implications for the global processes. They will be brought to the attention of the third session of the high-level political forum that will be held under the auspices of the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations from 26 June to 8 July at the United Nations headquarters, New York, with the theme Strengthening, Integration, Implementation and Review, the high-level political forum after 2015. The end of this meeting is only the start of our work together. As I said, we are now gearing up to make sustainable development hopefully a concrete reality and a living legacy. We require patience, of course, I know. Together, we end poverty, hunger, and inequality, ensure growth and environmental protection, and build an inclusive and sustainable future we want. To end, my personal thanks go to our chairperson, the vice chairs, all representatives of the member states, colleagues from UN organizations, agencies, funds, programs, because this is, of course, we are always listening to our sister and brother organizations, friends from civil society organizations, and our excellent moderators, speakers, discussants. I would also like to thank the team from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Royal Thai Government for their excellent support as always. And I would be amiss if I did not recognize the efforts, tireless efforts of my team who have worked endlessly with me over weekends, nights, evenings, to have these arrangements possible, but most of all to get the documents right, the sensitivities balanced, and to ensure that we respect your views and perspectives every time you speak. So thank you, and I wish you all a safe journey home. And for those who are based here, let's get together again. Thank you.